brain rot setting in.
Okay, let's watch this.
Chaos, the confusion, the tragedy at the Astroworld Music Festival in Houston. 8 people died.
Hold on, I'm gonna fucking...
Dozens were injured in a stampede during a concert performance by artist Travis Scott. Fans were crushed, trampled on, pleading for help over the loud music, to no avail. The youngest
What is this background music, bro? What the
victim learned just 14 years old.
Now, some 50,000 people attended this show on Friday night, and Houston police have now launched a criminal investigation. The first lawsuits have been filed against Travis Scott, Live Nation, and the concert promoter as well. Joining me now to talk more about this is New York Times Houston bureau chief David Goodman. David, the Times now reporting that Travis Scott got a warning ahead of time from the Houston police chief. Can you tell us about this?
3 months, yay, or whatever.
Yes, so Travis Scott is a national, name and rap musician known around the world. Excuse me. But he's also a big hometown sort of hero in Houston, and he's got deep ties to the community. And in fact, the police chief here personally knows Travis, as does the mayor. And so, as I understand it, Troy Finner, the police chief, went to visit Scott in his trailer during the day on Friday, as it was clear that the crowd there was was rowdy and but earlier in the day, so not when the sort of stampedes were occurring, but went there and sort of reminded Travis Scott that back in 2019 he'd also had an issue at his concert and there'd been some stampeding and some people injured, and sort of just as a kind of mentor went to talk to the younger man and say, just this is kind of the kinds of fans you have, they're very devoted, and just to be aware of that.
Is there a sense of what kind of impact that had? And I wonder, because noted in the report, your report, is that yes, Chief Finner knows Travis Scott, but that he also likes him, right? He sees him as this hometown boy who's there doing something that's really good for the community, for the economy. Is it possible that this was a warning that was sort of just more jovial?
Well, I don't think we know exactly how it was conveyed or how it was received at this point, but I do know that officials here have talked, to me at least, a lot about how what Travis Scott was trying to do with Astroworld and what he was doing earlier in the week. He had been at an elementary school to open up a community garden that he had supported, and his foundation does do some work in Houston. So I think there's a lot of the devastation is.
I'm confused. Did Travis Scott do anything wrong? The thing that he did wrong, he doesn't have okay. So one of the things that's really fucking annoying on the internet is that people always want to find one individual, a singular individual responsible for the entirety of the problem. That is not the case when we're talking about a massive event like this. Okay? Travis Scott does have individual responsibility in the circumstance. He saw that people were in a chaotic situation. He even stopped the music, but then continued to do the rest of his set and played out his entire set. 8 minutes into his set, well, we don't know if he was informed or not, but 8 minutes into his set, the police had declared this a mass casualty event. He continued for 40 more minutes. He brought Drake out and he finished out his fucking entire set. So the problem, though, is that at a certain point in his set, he stopped the music. He stopped the music and allowed EMTs to get through. And the issue is that if you are stopping the fucking music and you're recognizing that people are in a bad situation, you should stop it in its entirety. But he didn't fucking do that. He stopped singing. Sorry, not the music. But ultimately, if I were to say who has more of the responsibility here, 1000% I still believe, outside of Travis Scott's own personal individual responsibility, which I do think he has, the police, the fire marshals, and more importantly, Live Nation are more responsible for this event being mismanaged, and also on top of that, not stopping, than Travis Scott is. And if you don't see that, I don't know what to tell you. Travis Scott is only responsible because he actually did see what the fuck was going on to a certain degree, maybe didn't understand the severity of it, but he certainly saw that the situation was bad. Otherwise, he would have never stopped his set. He wouldn't have stopped singing. Which he did, which implies that he recognizes that shit was popping off in the concert. But ultimately, the larger share of the responsibility still lays in the hands of the concert, the organizers, and the people that did not tell Travis Scott, if they didn't tell him, because this percentage will change dramatically if we find out that like Live Nation asked whether or not Travis Scott should stop the music to Travis. Like if they were in his ear and they were like, hey, this is a mass casualty event and you should probably stop it, like people are dying or whatever. If they fucking said that to him and he kept singing, then he is insanely responsible.
Felt particularly close, even amongst.
He doesn't have a say in the organization. No, that's not the point. The point is this is a fluid situation. It's dynamic. It's chaotic. When you're in a chaotic situation like that, the people that have more control over it is not the performer, but the people who are literally there to keep the crowd controlled and to stop the music if necessary. That's their job. Your job is literally to fucking be in Travis Scott's ear and tell him, stop right now. We're stopping the music. We got to fucking pump out and evacuate the crowd safely. That's the point.
Top officials in Houston because of this, and the victims too.
He encouraged unsafe behavior from his fans in the past. Bad take, man. Dude. All that shit ultimately completely is fucking inconsequential. You're just doing that to add seasoning. What matters in that situation is his assessment. Did he see that there was a situation that was chaotic, that was actually beyond the norm, and what he did? If he had never stopped the music, I would have been more inclined to defend him, actually. I would say, he doesn't fucking know. How would he have known? That's why he was singing. That was originally what I thought. But when I found out that he actually literally stopped the music, or not the music, but at least stopped singing to make room for the EMTs and then continue to resume, that is way worse, because that means he fucking recognizes that something bad was happening. Bad take, dude. Sorry. How is it not security and cops' fault? They're literally tasked with keeping people away. So why is Travis under investigation, not the security and cops who are paid to protect everyone? Seriously? What? They should be. Why are you saying bad take, dude? Everyone wants 100% of the responsibility or 100% of the defense. And they never want to see the many different parts at play here. That's why you fucking agree with me, but you're still like, bad take, bro. Okay, well, my take is the take that you're fucking mentioning as well. So what's up? Does that mean that your own personal take is bad now? Is that what you're saying? 90% of the people that say bad take literally just repeat my take back in the chat. Bad take, bro. As I proceed to say exactly what you just said.
People came from all over to go to this concert, but they also came, from right here in Houston. And in fact, one of the youngest victims, a 16-year-old, went to the high school down the street from my place in Houston. And so it really is something that's felt by the community at large. And I think there was this sort of sense that
you put any blame on the rage culture Travis has created with his brand? No, that stuff is silly as shit, dude. Shut up. What are you, Nancy Reagan, dude? What is this? There's hella people in here that literally sound like Nancy Reagan and Hillary Clinton. What do you think about the rage culture that Travis Scott has created? What do you mean, dude? What music doesn't play into rage culture? There's plenty of music that have exactly that same kind of energy, if not worse. And motherfuckers aren't dying at their concerts. Shut up. Jesus Christ. What are you, 70 years old?
Travis Scott was trying to do good, and I think there was some defensiveness of him, and we'll see how that plays out in the investigation.
Yeah, look, it's so upsetting with these young folks who have died in this and been injured. David, thank you for the great reporting.
Thanks so much.
All right, I want to bring in Noah Shackman, editor-in-chief of Rolling Stone. I really appreciate you coming in and talking about this. Travis Scott concerts. What's the history here?
The history is a pretty violent one. Back in 2017 here in New York, Travis Scott begged a fan to jump off a second-story balcony. That fan was luckily okay, but another fan says that he was pushed off and was ultimately paralyzed at that show. And despite that, Travis Scott talked to lyrics about how he needs to see injuries in the mosh pit. There's been other incidents in later years, in 2019, and so on. And the warning signs on this one go way, way back, unfortunately.
One of the things apparently he said from the stage this time is, he wanted to see the ground shake with the crowd there. I guess it depends on what he meant by that, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, things like that, I want to see the ground shake, all that, that's all fine as far as I'm concerned. But what did happen was, as a previous guest noted, is that...
Dude, people weren't suffocating in the crowd because of rage culture or because they were moshing, okay? They were suffocating because of mismanagement, the fact that that area was fucking overcrowded, no partitions in between, And also on top of that, like, the concert not stopping when people started dying. So, like, anyone who says, like, this is about rap music or this is because Travis Scott encourages his fans to do, like, crazy shit, like, shut the fuck up, dude. This doesn't mean that he's absolved, by the way, okay? I'm not even saying that. I'm not saying that Travis Scott is, like, completely faultless here. I do think that he is at fault here for not stopping permanently or completely and finishing out his fucking set for 40 minutes after it was already declared a mass casualty event. And the share of responsibility that Travis Scott has greatly changes depending on the key thing that we need to know here. How much information was relayed to him? Concerts are chaotic. Event organizers have the responsibility to relay information in real time to the performer. The performer only cares about fucking high as fuck on adrenaline and maybe even drugs, okay? Nothing wrong with that, by the way. But the performer in that situation only cares about the performance and nothing else. So the stage manager has every right or every responsibility, and the fucking event organizers have every responsibility to make sure that everyone is safe. And then also on top of that, when there is an unsafe situation, to stop the fucking music and to tell Travis Scott that he's the stop. And if they didn't do that, then his burden here falls greatly. He still has a responsibility there because he did see people in a state of disarray and continued to perform. So he is bad on that level for sure. He stopped and then he continued, but not as much as if he actually knew. If the stage managers in his ear were like, dude, we got to stop this music. Like, people are fucking dying. And he still continued. In which case, he's a gigantic piece of shit if that's what happened. And we don't know. We don't have access to this information yet. But if we find out that, like, when the cops came to Live Nation, the event organizers, and said, this is a mass casualty event, and Live Nation literally was like, yo, Travis Scott, you need to stop. People are fucking dying. And he did not stop. Then he is largely responsible. Like, incredibly responsible.
The show was stopped 3 times. And it wasn't stopped and then stopped permanently. It was stopped and then resumed. And that's a problem because after the very first song, fans were chanting, stop the show, and the show didn't stop. It went on for another, 35 minutes or so.
What's not clear, at least not yet, is how much Travis Scott knew from the stage about exactly what was happening.
Yeah, correct. He didn't know. But again, there were warning signs, not just on Travis Scott's behalf, but look, just a month earlier at that exact same place in Houston, Energy Field, a rapper named Playboi Carti was scheduled to perform.
The production side has literally all the power on the planet to straight up stop the music in its entirety, okay? Turn on the fucking lights. Turn off the lights. They control everything. And people have done this in the past. They do it when it rains, bro. They do it when it fucking rains. Why do you think they couldn't do it if there's like a massive, a chaotic situation, like a mass a casualty event? Come the fuck on. Yeah, they do it if it's too windy. You're going to tell me that they don't have the capability? You're crazy. Now, there is a part of this where the police chief told the event producers to not stop the concert because of the inherent danger of riots from anger-drunk fans. This is what I have read as well. In that situation, then, the police chief's own fucking ignorance is the reason why they didn't stop the event. And the Live Nation people should have fucking been like, yeah, no, that's not going to happen. Don't worry. But they had a responsibility to their fucking benefactors. They wanted to keep going, most likely. But also, they have protocols for situations like this where they will not only turn off the lights, but there's like a pre-taped security protocol, like a safety measure video that you can literally play at the touch of a button in many of these instances. You can't just shut down everything at all at once. There's no stop button to stop all at once. It's common sense. No, it's not common sense. You're wrong. There is a button that you can shut down. Not that you would shut down everything anyway. You wouldn't shut down everything. You would stop the music and turn on all the lights and then play a pre-taped emergency message.
There were early warning signs at that show that it was not going to be safe, and the show was canceled at the last minute. At this show, there were early warning signs way, way, way before Scott played, early in the day, that fans were rushing.
Former stage manager is like 2 buttons and a switch to stop a show, yeah.
Were rushing in without tickets, and that there was going to be an unsafe environment. An AP photographer texted management to say, hey, this wasn't, something's not right here, something's unsafe, and yet the show went on.
And whatever he knew from the stage itself about what was happening down below him, he knew about his own history. He knew what had gone on at concerts before.
Sure. And look, there's a long, great history in pop music of singers, you know, kind of getting their fans riled up, and for them to have an ecstatic and raucous good time. But this took it obviously too far.
And look, there's a not great history at all at concerts. You know, people have died in concerts in the past, being stampeded, being crushed. This is something that there is an awareness of, and that places like Live Nation that plan these big shows certainly have to be taken into account.
Sure. And we'll see in the days and weeks to come, as these lawsuits and these investigations come out, exactly what precautions were taken and what weren't. For example, at most modern shows, there's not just one big mass of people down at the front. They're sectioned off into various areas. So precisely this sort of thing can't happen. We'll see if those precautions were taken.
Paul, it's good to have you on this morning, given your background here. And I wonder, looking at this concert, based on what you know now, have you been able to identify security failures in advance that, had they been followed, might have been able to prevent something like this?
Sure. Crowd safety experts like me and others have seen this situation historically over decades, causing many deaths to young people in the front of the stage. One of the most dangerous areas for standing room. So you look at it and you say, first of all, the crowds are too dense. And you ask the question, who is monitoring the crowd and who is managing the crowd? And in this case, from what I can tell so far, what we know, nobody seems to have been doing either of those things. You realize you have to reduce density before people begin to get crushed. I mean, we've heard that security for Travis Scott has had a history, like most festivals, of pulling people out of the front of the stage. That tells you right there the crowd is dangerous. But they play Russian roulette, and on Friday, things went really badly. Then you have to say, how did they plan for this event? You plan properly, you have to know the crowd profile and the history of the artist. Not now. The people who plan, manage, and approve it should have known those.
I low-key think that it's the crowd profile that caused this in some ways. The police being like, well, Travis Scott is unruly and his fans are unruly. They're black teenagers and white teenagers that are listening to the raging hippity hoppity music, and that's why they thought it would be a riot if they stopped it. And that kind of profiling is like low-key the reason why the cops were like, yeah, we shouldn't stop this event. And if they had just been like, fuck it, we should stop this event, I think that lives could have been saved. That's a reach. Why would they say that? Live Nation should have communicated better that, like, they have the capability to stop this. They have the capability of stopping this event without some serious fucking shit going down, without a riot happening, okay? That's crazy. And also, the cops shouldn't have been like, oh, we can't handle a riot if they stop the music. That's so dumb. So you are saying it's the rage culture, interesting as on? No, dumbass. I'm saying that it's their idiotic interpretation of what fucking rage culture is. The point is that they thought there is some such thing as rage culture, and that's why we can't deal with these raging teenagers if they riot, if the music stops. Like, can you imagine if there's like a fucking fire, some crazy shit happens? What do you think happens at concerts when a fire breaks out, dude? You think everyone just dies? They're like, sorry, we can't do anything. No, you still try to evacuate. You stop the fucking music and you try to evacuate. And that's significantly more chaotic than this. Nah, dog, they can't end the music. It would cause a riot. Yeah, that's really weird because Travis Scott ended the music multiple fucking times without a riot happening. So I don't know why you're saying that.
Things before so you can properly plan.
In terms of that planning, Paul, are there any, I wasn't able to find much when I was looking, are there regulations, you know, whether it's at a state level, whether it's a county or the venue, when you know you're going to have a massive number of people in essentially a standing area, right? And look, I love being in areas like that at a concert. But are there any sort of regulations, it doesn't seem there were, to space them out properly, to make sure there's only X number of people in this pen, X number of people in the pen behind it, and no way to jump those barriers?
Yes, they do. It's a great question. Yes, they do. And the primary area is the National Fire Protection Association 101 Life Safety Code. The NFPA is a group of approximately 70,000 fire officials and life safety officials. They develop a standard for the festival seating environments for this very type of environment in front of the stage because it was recognized as so dangerous.
What
There
a
was
fucking
industry
disaster, dude.
input in the standard. I served on the committee that helped create that standard. And what it says is there should not be festival seating until there's a life safety evaluation. Assume that's like a risk assessment. Can it be done safely? Density has to be kept under control.